Hey there! This video is a tutorial on how to do Sorobash in Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition. There's been a bunch of new methods for how to do this trick since vanilla, and they're not really well documented or collected in any one place, so that's what this video is going to strive to do. So this trick is a skip used in every category except for any percent, because any percent never comes here. And it is a large sequence break that skips ever going to Misty Woods or Forlorn Ruins before going to Soro. So let's take a look at it. So I'm starting from just before I've picked up the feather, because I want to talk a little bit about the setup for Sorobash and how it varies between categories. So first, I'm just going to get up to where the feather is, or where the rock stonk is rather. You don't want to take damage from that bird, but it doesn't really matter for the point of this tutorial. And let's get up here. So in glitchless, all cells, basically any category except for all skills, you can just stomp these rocks immediately. You don't need to land up where I am. But in all skills, there's a good reason to land here, or to perhaps place a save for the right, but we'll get to that. And place a save here and grab Charge Dash, which your route should give you the points for at this time. And the entire reason for saving here is to have access to this energy crystal when you come back up here the second time with already a save placed. And that has to do with your energy management in Soropass. I'm not going to go into that too much in this video, but I will link into this description a good tutorial that Voolin put out about the Soropass strategies for all skills. So anyways, let's grab Feather. And then after we have Feather, what you're going to do once again depends on the category that you're running. If you're running glitchless, then your route is going to be heading off to the right and just going back through the spider area to get back up to the top of the valley. But in every other category, we can do a trick called a rock dash, which will take us up much quicker, but it's a glitch with good reason, so that's why it's not glitchless. And exactly what we're going to do with this rocket dash kind of varies between categories. In all cells, you can rocket dash straight into a Sorobash, and I'll show that later in the video. In all skills, we're just going to rocket dash back up to where our save is, so let's go do it. Now the way we rocket dash is you charge dash at an enemy who's above you, and then you jump. And what jumping does is it stops the dash and causes your speed to decay much more slowly than it would in a dash. So we're able to go all the way to the top of valley just using one charge dash that gets interrupted and then slowly decays due to gravity. So basically the idea is we're going to bash this frog above our head, and then we're going to charge dash and then jump out of it. And I will note that you can set a key that will do this in the key rebindings file, just by binding the same key to charge, jump, and dash. But if you're playing on controller or you don't want to do that bind, then it's really not that hard of a trick to do. You just hit all the buttons at the same time. That's that. So anyways, let's do it. So send the frog out. You can get varying heights depending on your angle and whatnot, but the idea is to get up as high as possible. So like getting to this bird or above him is good, but it's fine to get a lower dash. So I'll do one that's a little worse. Is this frog still here? Oh, yes, good. So maybe if your angle's bad, you end up around here. That's fine, you can just bash your way up. So then, at this point in all skills, what you'll do is you'll pick up this energy, and then rekindle your save here before Sorobash. In glitchless, it's a little different, so let's take a look at what glitchless does first, because this has a good variety of methods to it. So in glitchless, you'll have just come back up through here, and then you're going to need to get into a position to set up the birds for Sorobash and make a safety save essentially. So what you do is you head up, instead of going to the left, you head up into this cliff. Why does this file have climb? Okay, let's take away climb. You wouldn't have it at this time, just using the debug for that. You'd head up to this cliff, and what you want to do is land on this edge here. Unfortunately, because there's spikes right next to it that will kill you, there's an easy way to do this, and what it is you just double jump into the wall and let Ori run up like that. So get off the wall and then double jump back into it and put it into, like, let go of right after you double jump in. So you see I'm getting these wall rounds, you just do it nearer to the top and you'll run onto the wall. So you can make a safety save here and then begin Zero Bash. And you should also note that if you don't want to do any double bashes in all skills, it's not a bad idea to come up here first before stomping the rocks and learn Charge Dash here and then get back and rekindle this save rather than putting one over onto the left. But that's that, so let's get into some of the methods. So first things first, here's some characteristics that are shared between a bunch of the different Zero Bash methods. Any of the ones that start from this position, next to the spikes, will begin by running off this ledge and then feathering when you fall to around here, so that you aggro both this bird and the one that's off screen down below at the same time. Once they're aggroed, you'll jump to the wall and then jump off and bash off the top bird, which is going to be the one that's down here. We'll go straight up. So it looks something like this. And that gets the bird to follow you into these spikes. So let's just take a look at that again. This part can be tricky to get the bird at the right height. If you're kind of slow on your movement or anything like that, this bird can end up dashing into the spikes, or various bad things can happen. And when you're learning this as well, you have to be pretty quick about getting on the wall and off. Otherwise you might catch the lower bird on the bash, so you want to avoid doing something like this, like going way too low. Catching the wrong bird just makes it completely hopeless. You gotta make sure that you stay pretty high so that you can get that top bird, get this guy to follow you around correctly. And then additionally, once we get into this corner, in pretty much every method we're going to do the same thing, where we send the bird above us and then we charge dash at it and then bash. So it will, like, assuming we were in the corner, it would be something like this. Like, you bash it up while holding feathers so that you don't go down, and then you charge dash at it. So let me die and do it again here. So we get a bird in the corner, bash up, and charge dash and bash it. If you do it correctly, the bird won't get knocked away by the charge dash. That guy had no health. But it's not a big deal if you miss it as well. Like, if I do my bash slow, let me pick a bird with health, you can still knock him away and have him dash back at you. Do that without the other bird getting in the way. You can still manage it like that. So you want to bash earlier to get your energy refunded and because it's faster, but just focus on getting the charge dash. And another thing to note about the corner here is that you can stay quite a while down there before your charge dash. You don't need to really worry about it just by holding feather and double jumping after your bash. So this looks like this. And now let's see how that all gets put together. So I would recommend slowing down this part of the video and watching it several times with your method of choice, just because there's a lot of little things that go into making these successful. So this first method is a 5 health damage boost. We're going to dash into the spikes and then wait for the bird to come meet us, get him in the corner, and then charge dash into him. Downside of that being that you have to get 5 health for it, which is slower and makes it kind of a poor choice. So this next method is a damage boost again, but we're going to use the bird so that we only require 3 health to do this. This is more difficult than the one before, but since the bird's position has to be manipulated more carefully, but it doesn't require you to pick up any extra health cells. Now this method is pretty similar to the last one, but instead of using a damage boost, we'll bash the bird and then dash after it. In my opinion, this is a little bit easier and just slightly quicker than the one before, but basically a matter of preference. And this one we're approaching from the left side, bash off the first bird, use a double bash to set up the second bird, and then use your method of choice to get the bird into the corner. There I use a bash to dash, but you could damage boost there as well. Now this method is the approach you could use in all cells, so we're starting back from the bottom, grabbing the frog. How high this rocket jump takes you depends on how good your position is. This is ideal to get this bird up this high, and then just follow through with the same method that we just did. Get the bird in the corner, charge dash up. Finally, I'm going to include the pure double dash method in this video. This isn't faster than any of the charge dashes because of all the extra bash time, but if you didn't have charge dash for some reason in some category, this is how you do it. So you just force the bird where you want it to go with double bashes, get it in the corner, one more double bash, and then you're up there. So that's that. Happy bashing.